You look very beautiful in that dress. You look very sexy. Look at that booty.
The fact that this website is actually explaining in depth what is and is not considered sexual harassment further goes to demonstrate that what Alex Stein did in regards to AOC was in fact sexual harassment.
Okay, and who cares? Why do you care so much? Why do you like? Why is this
because
such an
sexual harassment is immoral in my opinion. You're violating someone's privacy. You're making them feel like nothing but a sexual object. And again,
that's all she is.
I also have a wife and a daughter, and I don't want them to live in a society where this kind of thing is acceptable.
Your wife has nothing to worry about.
And then try to backstep and say, "Oh no, it was just heckling because they're a politician." I don't care if somebody's a politician, that doesn't justify sexually harassing them. Surely you must realize this.
It was a form of heckling. That's what he was doing.
It doesn't matter whether you call it heckling or not. That heckling, and that's why people like Red Pill Gaming feel the need to defend catcalling, because without it, well then how the fuck are they gonna try and get a woman's attention, you know? At least if they're getting pepper sprayed by a woman, they're getting some attention from a woman. AOC condemns dangerous police failure to stop disturbing sexual harasser on Capitol steps because he called her a big booty Latina. We're going to talk about all that and more in a minute, but it's just a bummer to work in an institution that openly allowed this, but talking about it only invites more. Also, if it literally, even if she was wrong about everything here, doesn't matter. Well, all that matters is that she was sexually harassed, and that is immoral and wrong and condemnable, and anybody that's trying to defend it is a moron. Didn't AOC belittle the harassment against Kavanaugh, though? All right, let's look this one up now. Even if she did, again, this doesn't take anything. Poor guy, he left before his souffle because he decided half the country should risk death if they have a pregnancy in the wrong state lines. It's all very unfair. Why are they watching? The Red Pill Gaming guy that I'm going to talk to in a minute is watching my stream right now. All right, let's see. So, well, let's first, I'll just go over this really quickly. Long story short, Alex Stein, who is pretty much just a troll that wants nothing but attention.
My favorite big booty Latina. I love you, AOC. You're my favorite. She wants to kill babies, but she's still beautiful. You look very beautiful in that dress. You look very sexy. Look at that booty on AOC. That's my favorite big booty Latina.
I want you to do a little selfie.
I love it. My favorite AOC. Nice to meet you, AOC. Look how sexy she looks in that dress. Woo, I love it, AOC. Hot, hot, hot like a tamale.
So, in case anybody doesn't know, whatever you think about AOC, this is the textbook definition of sexual harassment. And now this Red Pill Gaming cuck is going to come on here and try and defend this. So, I'm very curious to see what's going to happen.
Yo.
What's up, man? So, what's going on? Why are you interested in defending this behavior? I'm very curious.
Well, I just want to say, before we begin, I want to claim victory for the debate that you and me had. I don't remember exactly when this was, but I just want to make it official on the record that everything that I said in that debate about COVID, about the vaccines, now that we have all the information, now that the dust has settled, everything I said in that debate turned out to be 100% factual. And I could understand
Actually,
why
no. I remember you were the one who was constantly complaining about the transmission, right? And you realize there is actually evidence that it does reduce transmission, especially when it comes to the Alpha and the Delta variant. And as far as Omicron, if you're boosted, that also lowers transmission and viral load.
Look, we already had the debate. I don't want to have it again, okay?
Well, if you're going to try to come on here and snarkily claim victory, then I'm going to go ahead and bring up the fact that no, in fact, you were not actually factually backed up in anything you said.
Well, if people want to see for themselves, they can go to your YouTube channel. Oh, wait a second. No, they can't because you never uploaded it because you lost.
Oh, wait, no, actually, hold on.
Which is why you didn't upload it.
Hey, people can listen to it anytime they want. It's right up on my Spotify. Go check it out. Not all of my debates,
Spotify.
Yeah, not all of my debates get posted on YouTube, especially not
Avallone content. They go to your Spotify, right? Everybody.
Yes, I post exclusive content on my Spotify.
Right.
And since that debate was particularly boring, it was mostly you screaming about transmission. Yeah, I thought it would probably fit better on Spotify. Not to mention it got demonetized on YouTube also. So it was kind of like, well, why even go about posting it? So yeah, if anybody wants to listen to it.
You're telling me that you slam dunked in your mind on a COVID skeptic and then you didn't want to show that to the world. You didn't want to get that in front of as many people as possible. Am I really supposed to believe this?
I slam dunk on a lot of people all the time, and I post it
Mostly
on
yourself.
Spotify sometimes.
Mostly yourself.
But I mean, if I want to talk about the AOC thing, but before you try to get off on this big tangent about how you claimed victory, I'd like to just read this really quickly.
I did win.
This was from January 2022.
Which is why after the debate, which is why afterwards you tried calling into my stream a second time, because that's how hard you were coping and seething, and you couldn't get over the fact that I made you look like an absolute moron. So you wanted a round 2, and then I felted you a second time. And
that's
then
actually, you're right. After I hung up on that, I started crying legitimate tears. I was so incredibly upset.
I believe it.
It was really, really sad. Very hard for me, my friend. That's why I didn't even remember who you were when you first messaged me. But I would like to read this really quickly. Vaccination provides both direct protection of vaccinated individuals and indirect protection of individuals living in vaccinated communities.
I won, you lost. Don't care. Don't care.
Remember how we agreed beforehand that you were going to have to let me talk a little bit too? I've been letting you talk.
Yeah, but
I'd like you to...
I'm not here to relitigate a debate that we already had.
We don't need to relitigate it. You're the one that brought it up.
Handedly.
You're the one that brought it up.
Right, because I just wanted to assert the fact that I absolutely dominated you in that debate, and I'm about to do the same thing.
How did you dominate me in the debate if I have evidence here that proves what you said was incorrect?
Because one of the primary arguments that I made is that the COVID vaccines rapidly wane, and we now know for absolute certain that this is true, which is why they are
contention for us.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Unless you were saying that it waned immediately or something,
I said within 2 to 3 months, which we now know to be absolutely true. Which is why you need to get a booster shot every 10 seconds.
The main thing that you claimed, the main thing that I remember of the debate at least, was you whining about transmission. And that's why I purposely brought this study, because I thought that you might bring that up. So I wanted to make sure that I could at least read this, where they approached data to analyze transmission in households from June 2020 to June 2021. People who were vaccinated and subsequently infected were less infectious than unvaccinated persons. Moreover, less transmission occurred within households with vaccinated members than in those with unvaccinated
right now? Are you reading off a study? I don't, look, bro, can you have a conversation ever? Like, are you capable of having like a normal human being interaction with people?
Yes,
or like,
I am, but you realize that if you're going to make a claim,
hold on,
if you make a claim that you won this debate, we were debating the facts of the matter. So if I bring a study up that supports my claim, that is relevant and pertinent to the debate at hand.
Right, but notice that I'm speaking to you as a human being, and your response to me is you go to imright.com and you read off a study.
No, actually, this is science.org if you'd like to look at this.
Back to me? Can you science.org. Can
you
speak back to me like a human?
Sure, I'm sorry that if maybe for you, you're too much of an NPC to understand what a simple study says, but I'll go ahead and try to finish reading this.
It's funny that you're calling me an NPC when I'm speaking to you like I'm using my brain right now. I'm using my own thoughts. That's irrelevant. My own
you don't have to. Okay, I don't care what you're
calling me an NPC. Meanwhile, you're the one. You're an automation, and you're just scanning words off a screen, and you're regurgitating them mindlessly.
So what it sounds like you're saying is that I actually am bringing forward data that supports what I'm saying, and you're gauging from your fifis.
I'm asking you to speak to me like a human being on planet Earth, if that's possible.
What do you want me to do? Like just memorize the study to bring it up, to cite the fact that proves what you're saying incorrect? I don't exactly know what you want me to do.
For every study you could find, I could find a study that says the opposite. That's why I understand studies have some importance in a scientific debate. I get that. But like for every study you could find, I could find a study that says whatever I wanted to say, which is why at some point you have to like go further than that and start speaking to...
It's possible, but I don't know if that's actually the case, because in order to do that, you have to know how to read. So it says people who were vaccinated and subsequently infected were less infectious than unvaccinated persons. Moreover, less transmission occurred within households with vaccinated members. The ability of the vaccine to prevent transmission waned with time, with the advent of the Delta variant. So then it went and said, regardless of household size, parental vaccination substantially reduced the risk of children up to 12 years old becoming infected.
Congratulations.
This indirect effect will protect children from risk of severe disease.
At reading words off a screen. You're awesome, man. You're really good at reading words off a screen.
You don't look good at all right now, whining and bitching about the fact that I'm citing data to support my claim.
Bro, you could take your data and shove it up your ass, although you would like that, so maybe I shouldn't say that to you. But I'm asking to have a normal conversation with another human being right now, and you just want to pull up a study. Muted? Oh, he muted me?
No, I don't have you muted.
Oh, my chat's saying that you muted me.
No, you're not muted at all. Everybody can still hear you, unfortunately.
Okay, well... If I am muted, then I'm going to have to, unfortunately, end this debate. But I don't want to do that because I want to
Okay, I think we should
absolutely
move on to the
dominate you
AOC
once
thing. It's
again.
just the problem is that when you come on here and you say the first thing I want to do is assert that I won, then I want to cite data and evidence to support my claim because that's relevant to the claim that you just made. Furthermore, even if you were actually correct that people that suffered,
you did mute me. Well, now you're lying.
I
Now you're
don't have
lying.
you muted, dude. Are you insane?
You did mute me. You did mute me.
Where did I mute you? What the fuck are you talking about? You're not muted, dude. Look at my chat. People can hear you. People can hear you right now. I see your thing is moving on my thing.
Did you at any point in this debate mute me, yes or no?
No.
Okay, so my chat's lying to me.
I genuinely don't know because I never muted you.
I think you're full of shit. I think you're,
dude, I never muted you. Everybody is saying that they can see.
Now we're going to debate. Okay. Now we're going to debate whether or not you muted me. Everybody in my chat is saying you're a liar. They say they were saying that while you were reading, you were going NPC mode on that study, and you were.
Are you just here to like waste my time? I don't know if your chat. I mean, I would. Well, honestly, your chat probably is full of a bunch of schizophrenic virgins, but they were absolutely lying to you. I did not mute you, and if I did, I would have told you. I tell you when I'm going to mute it. Go look at the stream yourself. Everybody can hear you, dude.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do that right now, but it's not the most important thing in the world. I'll look at the replay afterwards. Let's get to the
I just have one more thing to say about this this vaccine thing, and then we can move on to that. The other thing I wanted to say also in regards to the transmission was that for Omicron breakthrough cases, reduced infectious viral load was observed, but only in boosted, not in fully vaccinated individuals. So even when it came to Omicron, we still saw a lower transmission rate so long as you were boosted. And the last thing I wanted to say really quick is even if you were 100% correct that if somebody got COVID and then was able to spread it with the same rate of transmission as somebody who never got the vaccine, then what you would do, that would still lower transmission ultimately because you're lowering the likelihood of getting the virus in the first place. So in a broad statistical sense, you're
not having a conversation with me. This is the problem is what you're doing is you are going off on a diatribe for your audience. You are not actually having a conversation with me as another person.
I'm explaining to you what is...
You're not explaining...
I'm explaining to you
I'm not listening to you, though. You're just... What you're doing is you're trying to, like, save face. You're trying to do damage control over this debate. I'm
not doing that. I'm trying to respond to the claim you made when you first got on here, dude. I had a feeling we would probably address this briefly. So it's like, I just wanted to mention that even if your initial claim that it didn't lower transmission were true, the fact that it lowers the likelihood of getting the virus to begin with still means that on a statistical level, you are lowering transmission. Because if you're less likely to get it, you're less likely to spread it.
People that are quadruple vaccinated, Dr. Fauci, he just got COVID. He's actually on his deathbed right now. They gave him remdesivir. He's still about to die. So what I'm saying is what you're now claiming is also not true.
No,
so it wasn't true then.
So we're talking about this on a statistical level. What you're saying right now is
stop infection. It does not stop infection.
Okay. What you're saying right now is like, hey, seatbelts don't work because one of my friends died in a car crash while they were wearing a seatbelt.
That's not what I'm saying. No,
this is on a statistical level, and statistically speaking, if you are less likely to get the virus, that only follows that you're then less likely to spread the virus. See, this is what you do. This is why you're an NPC. You just won't shut the fuck up because you don't like that I'm citing studies that disprove everything you're saying.
The vaccine does not stop infection. Does not. That is factually inaccurate. And I'm surprised in 2022, late 2022, you're still making this claim.
Because you can read about it on virtually any study, my dude. The fact that you're claiming it doesn't stop... Okay, yeah, you probably would want to back out of this anyway. I understand.
Yeah, I'm terrible.
You're definitely the one not looking too good right here.
I uploaded the replay. You didn't upload the replay, so I think it's pretty clear who won that debate.
Okay, cool. Whatever you say,
you know
pal.
what? You know what? If you think you won, then upload it now.
Whatever you say, pal. Sure.
Are you going to upload it?
Are you going to stop coping?
I'm not coping. You're the one who wouldn't upload the replay.
It sounds like
because
you're molding right now. I can hear the tears raining down from your eyes onto your keyboard right now.
I made you look like an idiot because if that wasn't the case, then you would have shown it to as many people as possible.
You're right, actually. The guy who claimed that calling you an anti-vaxxer was a slur definitely made me look like an idiot.
That is a slur.
100%.
That is a slur.
You're coping so bad right now, and it's embarrassing.
Not at all. I don't need to cope. You're Hunter Avallone. I don't need to cope.
Okay, that's funny. I understand, again, that you probably have issues with the...
You're the biggest laughing stock on the left. I don't need to cope.
Cool. I understand that you have a problem with general medicine and studies because clearly there was no vaccine that was able to prevent you from getting AIDS, but it doesn't really matter. Again, I think that we should go ahead and just move off of this so that we can talk about the AOC thing.
I've noticed you do this a lot. You make fun of, you make these gay innuendo jokes like as insults towards like you did it to Nick the other night. You're doing it to me now. I find that interesting because aren't you supposed to, like being gay is like totally normal and awesome, right? So how come you make jokes like that if there's nothing wrong with being gay? Like, isn't that what you would consider homophobic, or you make an exception when it's a right winger?
If I had just called you gay as like an insult, then maybe. But I made a joke about AIDS. It's not just gay people that get AIDS. You know that, right?
Okay, right.
You're proof that it's not just gay people that get AIDS, dude. What are you talking about right now? Why don't we just go ahead and back out of this subject so we can get to the AOC thing?
How'd I get AIDS? How'd I get AIDS then? What was your inference there? So you're saying I didn't get it through?
Do you think that the only way to get AIDS is from anal sex?
It's like that's by far the majority of cases. Yes.
Is it possible to get anal or to get AIDS from sex?
I don't know.
Other than anal sex.
You tell me. You're the anal expert here. You tell me.
I don't know. You're
man.
the guy that has AIDS, so maybe you should tell me.
Look, bro, this is so pathetic. Obviously, you were making a gay joke. I call you out, and now you're weaseling out of it.
No, I wasn't even making a gay joke. I was making an AIDS joke.
An AIDS? What? An AIDS joke? Okay, you're fucking absurd.
The fact
bro.
that you think that is just necessarily a gay joke is much more revealing to you than is much more revealing of you than it is of me.
This is amazing. You are amazing. You're amazing.
You can get it from blood or from any kind of sexual contact.
How do you do this? How do you delude yourself to like this degree? Like, how are you this slippery? How are you so deceptive?
What I do is I just watch your videos and decide how to be more like you, and then I just go with it. You know, that's kind of my move. But anyway, why don't we just go and talk about the AOC thing finally?
By watching my content.
So, why do you think that what happened in regards to the AOC thing was acceptable in any way, shape, or form? I would also like to just preface with, I'm not like a big AOC simp. Okay, I don't really follow her. I'm not really a big fan or anything like that.
You're just a general simp.
I just think that
you're a simp for all women.
I just think that what happened was pretty clearly sexual harassment and shouldn't be tolerated. That's all.
I think I think you need to stop being a gaping pussy. It's called a joke. It was funny, and obviously, if she felt like she was sexually harassed, she wouldn't have approached him and done a peace fingers, leaned in for a selfie with him. Obviously, she did not feel like she was under any threat, because when somebody's threatened, they don't typically approach their assailant. And then afterwards, she was standing at the top of the staircase. Once again, instead of creating as much distance as possible from herself and this person, she was standing up there, and then all of a sudden it turned into, oh, I just got raped, and the police don't care about me.
She never said she got raped, so that's not true. Let's go ahead and back up a little bit. So it was a joke.
Yeah.
Even if it were actually a joke, that does not take away from the, hold on, wait.
You know
whether
that.
Or not he was being a quote unquote comedian, then that doesn't take away from the fact that what he did and what he directed towards her was sexual harassment.
Who fucking cares? It was an obvious joke, and obviously
so
he was not perceived as a threat, because if the Capitol Police perceived the guy as a threat, then I'm pretty sure they would have moved on him. You don't need to perceive
it as a threat necessarily. She was uncomfortable, which, by the way, is one of the criteria necessary for this to be considered harassment. So I don't really care if she took a selfie or didn't run away screaming right away. This is all whataboutism. This is all trying to distract from the real topic at hand, which is what he said was sexual harassment.
Okay, if you're arguing that she was uncomfortable, then that is belied by the fact that she leaned in for a selfie while gesturing peace fingers.
Even if she was not uncomfortable, it would still be sexual harassment.
No, hold on. Whoa. Very, very tricky. Because like 10 seconds ago, you said that what makes it sexual harassment is the discomfort.
No, I said that was one of the aspects of it. You don't need to feel uncomfortable in order for it to be considered sexual harassment. Although she did later express that she was made uncomfortable by it, which is also part of harassment. It is not necessary. You can still be sexually harassed while not feeling uncomfortable about it. I was merely mentioning the fact that that can also be taken into account. So, again, how is this justified? If you're saying it's funny or it was a joke, then is anything acceptable so long as you claim it's a joke? Where do you draw the line there?
I think that there is a socially accepted threshold for what is and what isn't considered a joke. And I think in this situation, the guy's a comedian. He wasn't saying anything grotesque. He wasn't saying anything excessive. He was obviously he was saying ridiculous things. Talking about that big Latina booty. So
that's sexual harassment, though.
Okay, so who
if
cares?
If you're complimenting a woman's body and making sexual remarks directed at her, if you're saying big booty Latina, you're so pretty, oh, I love your dress, such a big booty Latina, that is a form of sexual harassment. There's just no way around this.
But okay, so you're claiming she was sexually harassed.
She was. It's a fact.
Okay, you're claiming that that's a fact. She obviously was okay with the sexual harassment that you're claiming she isn't okay with. And don't you understand that she's using this? She's using this to her political advantage.
Even if
like, obviously,
whataboutism again? I knew that's exactly how this was going to go. That's why I bet $500 on it. So even if she were using this,
500 an hour later.
Even if she were using this to her political advantage, doesn't take away from the fact that she was sexually harassed. Second of all,
what is the bottom line point you're making? Like, who fucking cares?
My point that I'm making is that it was sexual harassment, and that's morally wrong. That's my point.
Okay, so you're saying that the joke, the bit, was morally wrong, and therefore
yes,
what?
Because you're trying to say it was morally acceptable because it was just a prank, bruh. You're unironically doing the thing where you can say whatever the fuck you want, make kind of nasty remarks directed at somebody, and then later be like, oh, I was just kidding around. So is that okay then next time, like, if you're scrolling on Twitter, what if you see like a lefty or something say some creepy shit about like, pedophilia or something? What if they say, oh, I'm just kidding around? Is that then okay?
Comparable. No, because that's not comparable at all. I think that's an apples and oranges comparison. I think, complimenting, and AOC is she is a pretty woman. Everybody knows that. So I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think that's like, too out of bounds to make a joke about her physical appearance.
It wasn't a joke. It was an actual, it was verbal harassment directed at her repeatedly. I have a little definition here if you'd like me to go through it.
I don't care about your definition. Don't you think the intent matters?
Not necessarily, no. And
really?
Even if his intent in that situation was just merely to make a joke, it was still sexual harassment. I don't care if he's a comedian, dude. Would you be okay if somebody sexually harassed like your mom or your sister or something, and then upon saying, dude, don't fucking say that to my mom, please, they were like, dude, I'm just kidding around, I'm a comedian, lol.
Well, if a comedian was like, "Hey, look at this sexy lady," and by the way, this happens all the time. Like if you go to a comedy club, like the comedian on the stage will likely do that. He'll be like, "Oh, who's this sexy bitch in the front row?" And then he'll start whistling and shit, and everybody laughs because it's just a fuck.
Hey, that doesn't take away from anything. That's still not okay.
Wait, but Hunter, why can't you just it's just a joke, bro? Like why can't you just chill the fuck out?
Because it's not just a joke. There are multiple layers to this. Joke. Is that one? Sexual harassment?
No, there's not though. There's really not.
There
though.
is.
It was just
the fact that you don't want to see the nuance here. It right away shows that you're in. Yeah,
you're
okay.
Just a pussy. You're extremely feminine. You're doing this because you're trying. Like, aren't you married? Aren't you in a relationship already? Like you don't need to do this anymore. You don't need to show the world how much of a white knight you are. You already got that.
I understand that the projection is very strong with you, and you probably feel like somebody who is just taking a moral position.
I'm the white knight.
Is somehow doing so because they're a simp or something. No, not at all. Even if this were a super hardcore fucking conservative woman who I hated, if it was Marjorie Taylor Greene and somebody was saying the same thing, I would absolutely condemn that as sexual harassment. That is bullshit.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't care at all.
I know you wouldn't because you're an amoral fuck. But again, this is why I'm saying that it's not actually
dude. I'm a dude. I have
the fact that you think it's a normal dude thing. Hold on. The fact that you think it's a normal dude thing to sexually harass women goes to show that you are actually
in the fucking mirror.
You actually,
look at yourself.
Dude, you hate women, don't you? Or I'm sorry, you hate men.
Not at all.
You clearly hate men. The fact that you think that it's a normal thing for men to just go and sexually harass women left and right is actually despicable. Do you really think that men are just like these uncontrolled apes that see a woman and they must comment on her sexual body. They must make sexual remarks. Do you think that's really what men are?
They do it all the time, and women do it too. Yes, men do that in private. Women do that in private. Yes, happens constantly.
So
literally constantly.
If you're talking with a friend about a girl you find to be attractive, you do realize that that's
a fraud.
If you realize
pretending like you've never done it.
If you're talking to a friend in private, mentioning like, oh man, this girl just walked by that was so fucking hot, you realize that's not sexual harassment because you're not making verbal harassment or remarks directed at the woman in question.
Right, but I'm sure you still would take issue with that. You would still there's still some reason why I can't do that probably in your eyes. I can't admire women like sexually.
Why are
Probably
you
is.
pivoting right now so hardcore?
How's that
I'm
pivot?
talking
I'm
about.
not pivoting at all.
Yes, you are. You're trying to get me to start arguing about whether or not I would be okay with you in private making a remark about finding somebody
I know you wouldn't
sexually
be.
appealing.
I know you wouldn't be because you're like a
That's
Me Too
great.
guy.
You can
so.
just go ahead and do it and
Am I
assume
wrong?
whatever you
Am I
want.
wrong? What's your take on locker room talk? Is that acceptable or no?
I'm actually not going to get off of this subject because
Right,
this is
because I'm
exactly
about
what you want to do.
I'm
Is
pinning
you
you
want
down.
to try to
Because I'm
move the
pinning you down.
conversation over
Because I'm
because
pinning you down.
you're exposing yourself as a
Because right
disgusting
now
little pig,
you've been
and now
totally
everybody can
committed.
see it, and it's really quite hilarious. So
No,
I'm
just
going to
a
go ahead
regular
and just
guy.
read this
I'm just a
definition here because
regular
I'm sure that you would probably
red-blooded
not
dude.
want me to because it'll demonstrate why you're wrong further. So this is what sexual harassment looks like, particularly
at all.
sexual
Not
harassment in public spaces.
listening.
This is
Volume is
that's
off.
fine. Please don't listen because again, I understand you're stupid, but for other people that actually care
I
about being
don't-
moral
I-
and
I
being
need to have a
truthful,
conversation.
I would like to
I don't
read
need
this
you
for
to-
them.
I don't need you
So
to
here
read
are some
words off
forms
the
of
screen.
sexual harassment that are included in this list.
Okay.
Making
You want to have
conditions
a
of
conversation or not? Because I'm going to leave. If you don't want to have a conversation, I'm going to leave. I'm here for a conversation. I'm not here.
I am
for you to read
having a
words off the screen.
conversation with you.
No,
It
you're
is
not.
crucial to the conversation that I
No, it
explain the
literally isn't.
definition of what sexual harassment
Literally
is.
not. Literally not. We all know what it is. Okay, you're saying that you can't make a comment like that to a woman in a public space, and I
You
get
can't
that.
publicly
Like,
harass her. Yes. Yep.
I agree with you. I'm not even disagreeing with that point. All I'm saying is the context matters. In this situation, Alex Stein is a comedian.
Did she know he was a
AOC,
comedian?
It really doesn't matter because he was not a threat. He was clearly not a serious threat to her, which, see, you're ignoring crucial evidence
So?
here. She leaned in for a selfie. She leaned in for a selfie with peace fingers. You
don't care.
You cannot just write that off. You can't
This
just
is
be like,
whataboutism. So is it only
li-
sexual
no,
harassment if the
literally
person
what happened,
feels
though.
threatened by the other person?
What I'm saying is, whether it is technically sexual harassment or not is completely irrelevant to the reality of the situation, because like, oh, you're just being a whiny bitch. You're just being like a tattletale, like, that was sexual harassment. Like, who cares? If she was comfortable enough to lean in and pose for a selfie and do peace fingers, for you to after the fact say, oh, but that was sexual harassment. You're just being a gay bitch. Why? Like,
So here's a question for you. Let's say that some
technically
woman
it's
is
sexual
out at like a
harassment.
bar. She gets a little bit tipsy, and she goes home with
Whataboutism?
somebody.
Whataboutism?
She isn't able. You're doing whataboutism right now, so
Oh,
I'm kind
not.
of
No,
yes, I'm playing
no,
into the
no.
philosophical
AOC
point
leaning
that you're
in for
trying
a
to make
picture
here.
is not whataboutism. That's objectively what happened.
So again, I want you
Whataboutism.
to tell me if a woman is, say, sexually assaulted, like a rape. Could you make the argument that it wasn't actually rape because she kind of seemed like she wanted it?
Oh, okay. Well, unlike you, I'm not going to cower in fear from this question. It's a completely unrelated question, and you know what my answer is going to be, and then you're going to use that against me. But I'm not a bitch like you, so I'm going to stand strong and say, yes, there absolutely are situations where women put themselves in situations that they maybe should have had the foresight not to put themselves in. So,
well, wait,
yes,
I would
that is
agree with that, but that doesn't,
Oh,
again,
cool.
wait, does that mean that it wasn't a rape?
based. Yo, Hunter's based. I
Does
didn't know
that
you
mean
were
it wasn't
based.
a rape?
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I'm actually surprised you're saying this. Right. No, right. Technically, yeah, of course, that would be a rape.
Okay, so again, why does that not apply then with the AOC thing? She didn't seem uncomfortable. She didn't tell him to leave her alone. You know, why not? Why not? What's wrong? She was kind of asking for it. She seemed okay with it. Like, that's all the same excuses you're making that you would have condemned if it were in the case of actual rape.
Because the action of rape and the action of, hey, nice booty, like do you think that these are, like, morally, do you think these are the same?
They're not supposed to be the same. The point is, when you take the same logic to a more extreme example, you realize that all of a sudden, the arguments you're making don't actually hold up at all. If I say, look, this woman is walking down the street with a booty dress on, so clearly she was more or less kind of asking to be catcalled. She wanted to be sexually harassed, because if not, she wouldn't have worn that. That same logic could then be used if we were to say, look, this woman was in a place where she shouldn't have been, or this woman went home with the guy when she should have had better discretion. So, you know, she was kind of asking for it. She put herself in the situation. So, you see what I mean?
Except the extreme difference in morality actually makes them incomparable.
Wait.
Because Because rape, I don't think you can make any argument at all for when rape is acceptable, right? You can say, oh, but the rape was just a joke. Versus sexual harassment, as you're calling it, I think in this situation, like I would not consider this the same type of sexual harassment that might take place in the corporate environment around the water cooler, for example, or maybe sexual harassment. You have a female employee, she's wanting a raise, she's wanting a promotion. The manager says, "Come into my," you know what I'm saying? Like I think that what you're doing is a bad faith comparison, and
I'm not even comparing it to that.
You're deliberately ignoring the context of the situation to like turn like a molehill into a mountain.
Hold on, let me clarify here, because there are actually people now in my chat that are claiming that I'm being like a rape apologist or something.
Let's go!
So first and foremost, it is absolutely true that there are times where women are in situations that they should have more discretion. There are definitely times where women make mistakes and go somewhere alone when they shouldn't, or go home with somebody when they shouldn't. However, that does not then justify any kind of negative action taken against her. So you can say, hey, maybe that woman shouldn't have gone home with the dude who seemed kind of sketchy, but that doesn't mean, well, since she went home with the dude who was sketchy, she was more or less kind of asking for it with everything else that took place, if we're talking about a hypothetical rape here. So that's the first thing that I want to further clarify. There are a couple like woke skulled losers in my chat here.
They're never going to accept what you're saying, just so you know.
That's great. I don't care. But furthermore, I want to know if you're able to see the comparison, or at least you're able to see how that logic doesn't hold up, why then is it okay to say, well, she was more or less comfortable, she didn't seem like she didn't like it at the time? Why does that take away from the fact that it was sexual harassment? Does that mean it wasn't sexual harassment? Like, help me understand this.
Me or chat?
You.
Oh, I'm sorry. I tuned in for the last few seconds there. But so basically what you're saying is like logically they're the same exact thing. But like I said, they're incomparable due to the extreme differences in morality. Because like I would find it, I think, impossible to come up with a hypothetical scenario where like rape was okay versus, when it comes to sexual harassment.
Okay, so when is sexual harassment okay?
Well, the Alex Stein example.
What makes that okay?
Because it was done for comedic effect. He was never intending to harm AOC. Like, see, hold on, let me finish. That is the difference. The difference is the intent. So, for example, if the female employee wants a raise, wants a promotion, right, and the manager is maybe whatever, doing things he shouldn't do, maybe he's groping, maybe he's making comments about her breast, right? That the difference is in one instance, coercion is taking place, and in the other instance, it's completely harmless. So harmless, in fact, that the supposed target, the supposed victim, is leaning in for a selfie.
So first and foremost, it's not actually harmless. There's plenty of evidence that shows that being sexually harassed not only causes issues for the person being harassed, it puts the person harassing at certain risks of all kinds of repercussion, whether legal or social, because what Alex Stein did here wasn't technically illegal, so most likely would be social repercussions. And also, it makes the overall community less safe. People don't want to go outside as much if they're more likely to be catcalled or sexually harassed on the basis of their appearance. So it actually does do harm, absolutely.
You think the DC community is less safe now because of Alex Stein and not like...
I think that having... I think that catcalling and then trying to post hoc justify it by saying, oh, it was just a joke, LOL, that yes, that absolutely does make the community overall less safe, and your attempt at normalizing this bad behavior, which is morally repugnant, also makes the community less safe. But then again, I mean, if you were able to even be walking around DC, you'd probably make DC a lot less safe too, in all fairness. But again, I don't know why you're so opposed to me. I don't know why you're so opposed to me, like just reading out some examples.
What is the suggestion there? What are you suggesting, that I'm like a violent criminal or something? Like,
I don't know, man. You seem a little unhinged. You seem at least unpredictable, you know? But I don't know why you seem so against me just reading like a couple little bullet points here. I'd like to read these. This is what street harassment is included.
No, stop.
Comments, requests, and demands. Listen to this. Hold on, wait. I have one more read, okay?
No, I don't
Commenting on physical appearance, such as someone's body or the clothing they're wearing. That is exactly what Alex Stein did. That is what is defined as street harassment. That is sexual harassment. Yeah.
Okay. I don't care. And oh, look. Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to a website here. Oh, and it says here that sexual harassment is based on Epic. You it just doesn't mean anything to me when you're reading words off a screen.
That's
Like
because
you could
you're a
find,
retard. But for people that actually
no, I don't think
care,
so.
they do
I don't think
actually.
so.
It means
Well,
things to them. The
if I'm
fact that this
retarded, then I
website
hope
is
the word
actually
exists
explaining in
to
depth
describe
what is and
you.
is not considered sexual harassment further goes to demonstrate that what Alex Stein did in regards to AOC was in fact sexual harassment.
Okay, and who cares? Why do you care so much? Why do you like? Why is this
Because
such an important?
sexual harassment is
What's
immoral
going
in
on
my
here?
opinion.
Are you
You're
just desperate for
violating
content?
someone's privacy. You're making them feel like nothing but a sexual object. And
But that's
again,
all she is.
I also have
That's
a
all
wife
AOC
and
is.
a daughter, and I don't want them to live in a society where this
Oh, well,
kind of
don't worry.
thing is acceptable.
Your wife has nothing to worry about. Don't worry about that. But AOC, that's all she is.
Wow, you're very mature. I'm very impressed, by the way. But again,
I'm just
no,
honest
she's
guy.
not
Straight up
actually.
honest guy.
The fact that you're reducing anybody to just a sexual object is disgusting. Again, this is the
Realistic,
immorality
honest.
that I'm talking about.
It's
And then I
honest.
would
That's
have
all
to
it is.
ask you, wait, if you're
Do you
actually going to
think
take that,
AOC is
wait,
is like an
if
intellectual titan? Like, do you think she's a political heavyweight?
no,
Like,
that's
obviously
not what I
she's a
said.
debate.
That's not what I
Obviously
said.
she's a
Furthermore, if she's just a sexual object, then would that justify rape?
No.
Really? Why? She's just a sexual object.
I think rape is going a little bit too far. I think it's one thing to jokingly say, "Hey, that's a nice booty you got there," but I wouldn't.
So it's just your arbitrary line, basically.
No, it's not my line. It's the society's arbitrary.
You're not
line, I
speaking
guess
for
you could say, or
society.
agreed upon.
You're not speaking for society at all. If
I
anything,
do believe
you're
I
like
am.
a social
I believe I am.
outcast. So you're even less qualified to do
Wrong.
that. You don't even
No,
want me to read a basic definition of why what Alex Stein did is
Your
classified
definition
as
doesn't
street
mean
harassment.
anything to me, though. Like that's what you don't understand. I don't fucking care about your definition. I could find a definition for like it doesn't mean anything.
I don't
That's what
care if you
that's
can
what
find a
you head.
definition of anything. Go find
I know
it.
you come from the. I know you come from like the left wing Twitch community where like all you guys do is fucking read words off the screen and read definitions. And,
Wow.
But like that's
Yeah.
not how.
How dare you
know-
read actual definitions? Ooh.
No,
After
because
all,
what
it's not like definitions are required for any of our conversations to make sense, right?
what you're doing.
Can you
is-
stop being such a retard and actually get back to the subject? I want you to
what
tell
you're
me
doing,
why the fuck
you
you
are
think that what
reading-
Alex Stein did was acceptable in any way, shape, or form other than, "'cause it was funny, bruh." Please give me something other than the most brain-dead response imaginable. Now, go for it.
I don't have to.
Then why are you here
was
to
funny.
argue?
It was funny. The guy's a comedian. He has a huge social media following. It's much larger after AOC was foolish enough to signal boost the situation. And who wins? AOC or Alex
So-
Stein? And here you are like a fag crying about it. It's you
I
just
need to. I listen. I'm fine with the insults, but you need to try to cut back on those slurs because I am on YouTube
on
and I
YouTube.
don't want to be getting. I don't want to
on
be.
YouTube, fag boy.
I
Look
don't
on
wanna be-
YouTube. Relax.
I don't want to get banned. Okay, please try to
Don't get
respect
banned either.
TOS. That's it.
YouTube.
Again,
YouTube
I-
too.
okay, cool. But just for the love of God, where is your line then? What cannot be justified because it was funny?
Rape
So
and murder.
any kind of
Violence.
verbal or any kind of action that isn't murder, rape, or violence could be justified so long as it's just a joke, LOL?
I mean, that's a bit too broad for me to.
This is why I'm asking you to give me more specifics, because this is the broad definition that you've posited thus far.
Well, what I want to do is I want to speak specifically to the situation because, like, what you're doing is you're getting like autistically technical, and I
No,
don't
I'm
think
not.
it's
You just
necessary.
accused me of being too broad. I'm trying to get more specific and technical with you, and you don't want to.
No, what I mean when I say you're getting technical is what you're doing is you're saying like technically, even though everybody, including AOC, was okay with it while it was happening, you're saying technically though, even though everybody's cool with it, including AOC, technically it's sexual harassment. And I'm like, okay, but like, does that need to be said? It seems
Yes, it does,
unnecessary.
because there are people
Why
like
does it need to
you,
be said?
disgusting subhuman degenerates, that are actually trying to defend this kind of a thing. So yes, someone like me unironically has to get up here and say, hey guys, you know, sexual harassment bad. I know, I'm
watching
such a
right now,
brave
you're
and
gonna-
moral person, but unfortunately,
good
your
tonight.
dipshittery
Yes.
makes it so that I am now justified in being this
She's
brave.
gonna fuck you real good tonight, bro. You're doing a great job. If your wife's watching right now, she must be loving this.
And another ad hom attack. Man, you're really grasping right here, buddy. Do you want to try again?
Yeah.
You want to try
I
again?
think it's another bullseye for RPG is what that
so,
was.
So because it was funny, that justifies it to you. Again, what other than rape and murder, I would agree with you. Yeah, you probably couldn't justify that with it's funny. What else do you think couldn't be justified with it was funny?
rape, murder, violence.
Besides, is there any kind of speech, any kind of verbal action that you think wouldn't be okay to be said repeatedly towards somebody if then you were like, well, you know, it was just a joke?
When it comes to speech, I'm pretty much a free speech guy. I think, you know, for the most part, like words.
So if a full-grown man is talking to the little girl at the park saying, hey, you're cute. Hey, what's up? You're cute. And then when she says, stop, you're making me uncomfortable, he can just say it was just a joke and it's okay in your mind?
No, because that's not just words. That's words plus pedophilia. That's more so pedophilia than words. Obviously, when I say free speech, I mean
it was words in regards to a sexual attraction, just the same as what Alex Stein did.
This is why I can't talk to people like you, because like this is totally
because you're getting absolutely fucking ruined. That's why.
No, not at all. Not even in the slightest.
Then why would you create this? Why would you give me this type of a definition where now you have to argue against the definition you just gave me?
I'm obviously not advocating for pedophilia, if that's what you think. Do you think that's what I was doing?
You're advocating for harassment so long as people say it was just a joke.
Oh, in general, I'm against harassment, but I think it also depends who the target is. Like, for example, I'm harassing you right now, and you're harassing me, and I feel totally justified harassing you because I think that you're a despicable human being, and you feel the same way about me. So, like, obviously, you're not against harassment because you're doing it here to me right now. You're not respecting my humanity or whatever other shit you guys pretend to believe in. So, like, you know, it depends who the target is. And as a conservative, I think AOC is a reprobate. I think she is a sinner.
So is it only okay if it's somebody you don't like? So what if it actually was your mom? Let's take a step back. If it was your mom and somebody was repeatedly making sexual comments
against her, and I would take extreme action against the person who was, you know, propagating it.
So you would take offense to that, but you wouldn't. So it's actually what you're saying right now is that you are okay with sexual harassment so long as it's directed towards somebody you don't like.
Well, I also, in general, like the context does matter. The context does absolutely matter. I'm not going to say as a you know, a blanket rule of thumb that it's always okay. I think in general we should not be sexually harassing. Absolutely.
Unless people say it's a joke.
Well, I think if it's blatantly a joke and nobody is harmed and nobody feels threatened, and like let's say, for example, that it wasn't evident that he was joking around. Like, you know, he wasn't smiling from ear to... It was, though, because she leaned in for a selfie with peace fingers.
It doesn't matter. That's whataboutism. I don't care if he was smiling. I don't care if he was being aggressive. All that matters is what he said and what was said directed towards her.
Instead of just throwing that word out there, explain to me how that's whataboutism. Because I don't know
if whataboutism is where you start bringing up something else that's irrelevant and saying, what about this? So you're saying, what about the fact that she also bent over to take a selfie? Clearly, she didn't have a problem with it. All of that is irrelevant. That is all fucking irrelevant. All that I'm talking about is what was said directed towards AOC and whether or not that classifies as sexual harassment, which so far it's been obviously demonstrated that it does.
It is literally what happened. You're saying literally what happened is irrelevant?
Because you're trying to say what happened in that regards justifies in some way or another Alex Stein sexually harassing her.
It does.
So if somebody sexually harassed your mom and then she like kind of bent over and smiled and was like, okay, come on, that's enough now, you would say, you know, whatever, that's fine.
No, so like going back to my my comedy club example, right? Like let's say you went to a comedy club. I'm not sure if you've been to one before, but if you have, you'll know that the comedian, what they do is they roast people in the audience every once in a while. And when they like, actually I think this is a perfect analogy because, hold on, I'm getting super chats that are distracting me. Okay, sorry about that. So like, would you say that like at a Comedy Central roast, for example, when
people pay to go there, they choose to go there. Walking down the street is not the same as walking into an event where you're submitting yourself to be roasted.
Oh, so if somebody pays, then like that changes it somehow?
Wait, if you're going to a comedy club to be roasted, if you're going to like a roast show or something.
But you're not going for a roast. The comedian is going to do that whether it's a roast or not.
Well, then it would be just as possible that a comedian could sexually harass somebody from the audience. Yes.
Okay, so then you're saying that being in the comedy club and everybody laughing because they all understand that it's a joke, you're saying that wouldn't change the fact that it's still sexual harassment in your eyes.
It depends what the joke is. And again, you're obfuscating now. You're trying to change the context entirely.
No, not really. No, I'm not. Because what I'm saying is what I'm saying is, in this situation with Alex Stein, this is a comedian who was clearly doing
AOC wasn't wanting to be at a comedian's show. She didn't go anywhere. That was that is not irrelevant at all. If somebody goes to a comedy club, hold on, wait. If somebody goes to a comedy club where it's generally understood that this person might make fun of you or make like sexually charged jokes at the audience's expense, that is still different context than somebody walking into their job while someone else is waiting outside for them and then starts shouting that they have a nice ass. Surely you must realize this, and if you don't, then I think, again, you might just be, stupid.
Okay, well, if you're a politician, then there's an expectation that you're going to be heckled, right? If you are a public figure,
heckled is different than harassment.
I don't think it is.
And sexual harassment specifically.
No, wrong. Same thing. Go ahead.
Being heckled is the same as sexual harassment?
Harassment? So heckling someone is a form of harassment. Agree or disagree?
It would depend again in the context. It could be, yes, just like how Kavanaugh was harassed. That was also heckling, but it was also the definition of harassment as well.
When they were marching outside of his home and like that one dude like threatened to assassinate him, that was just heckling.
No, that would have been even worse than heckling. I'm trying to get on your level, my friend. I'm trying to explain how even in contexts where I don't agree with the politician in question, it can be heckling and still be a form of harassment. But again, this is why we're talking not only about harassment in general, sexual harassment specifically. So if we're talking about a politician as they're walking in and somebody's there with a sign saying, AOC, stop voting for this. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with you. Then I would say, yeah, that's probably pretty justified because she's a politician and people are going to protest. But if she's walking in and someone says, you're so sexy, I love your big juicy ass, nice booty, AOC, then that's no longer heckling. You're no longer protesting. You are sexually harassing that person.
Still heckling. It's still a form of heckling.
Why is it justified then?
It's heckling. You're allowed to heckle. Free
You're
speech.
not allowed to heckle in that regard. No, you're not.
So is Alex Stein going to jail?
Oh my God. This is why I know you're super bad faith here, dude. It fully depends on the context, the environment, the appropriateness of the joke. So he's not going to jail, correct? I already said it wasn't illegal. I'm talking about a moral wrong. So it's immoral it is immoral for you to sexually harass somebody and then try to backstep and say, oh no, it was just heckling because they're a politician. I don't care if somebody's a politician. That doesn't justify sexually harassing them. Surely you must realize this.
It was a form of heckling. That's what he was doing.
It doesn't matter whether you call it heckling or not. That heckling was coming across as sexual harassment, which was wrong and immoral.
No, it wasn't, which is why she leaned in for a fucking selfie. How many times do I have to say that?
So if somebody leans in for a selfie, then it's no longer sexual harassment?
Let me ask you, Hunter.
No, you need to answer that question first. No, if somebody is making repeated vulgar remarks about your body, and you are not interested in those types of remarks being directed at you, then if that person smiles or takes a selfie or even does something hypothetically to maybe diffuse the situation rather than make it worse, then is that no longer sexual harassment?
It is no longer. Now, if you
really, so you think that's what makes it not sexual harassment?
Correct. If you were being sexually harassed, would you lean in towards the person for a selfie?
The fact that you even think this is hysterical to me. So what you're telling me right now is that if somebody was sexually harassing your mother, if somebody was sexually harassing your mother, and then she leaned in and said, hey, can you stop while smiling? You would say it was no longer sexual harassment.
Taking turns. I answered your question. I gave you an answer. If you want me to elaborate, I can do so after you answer my question.
Please do.
If you were being sexually harassed, would you lean in towards that person for a selfie, or would you create as much distance between you and the assailant, the heckler, whatever, as possible? What would you personally do?
I'm not really sure. It would depend on the context. But the problem is that what you do in that situation doesn't change the fact whether or not it is sexual harassment. That's what you don't seem to be grasping. Like, this is why I don't care to engage with your dipshit hypothetical here. What I care about...
You are a chronic liar. You are
So do you think that if somebody takes a selfie with the person sexually harassing them, that it's suddenly no longer sexual harassment?
I don't even really care about the conversation anymore. You're just so unbelievably disingenuous that it amazes me that somebody like you can even
You're such a
exist.
Weasley bitch, dude. You're such a piece of
No,
shit. It's
I'm not
hilarious to me. You're over here making all
Weasley
kinds of excuses, probably because you sexually harass
would
women on
ever
the
weasel
daily,
away
and you don't want to
you.
accept
You
the
have-
fact that you are acting immorally. Not only is sexual harassment doing a harm to the person being harassed, it's doing a harm to the harasser, and it's doing a harm to the general community where the harassment is taking place. All of this harm is coming from this, and you are trying to say, oh, it's actually
totally
okay
real.
because she took a selfie,
real.
which some people are even
totally not
arguing
a
that was actually because she
class.
wanted to diffuse the situation.
Well, community was harmed because a joke was told. You need
It
to
wasn't a
remove
joke,
your-
and whether or not it was a joke is irrelevant.
ass.
Whether or not it was
It
a joke
is-
is irrelevant.
It is perfectly relevant. It was a joke. Everybody understood it to be a joke, including AOC herself.
You already
She
said
was-
that certain things that were
was
said
assaulted.
towards people, verbal harassment directed at people, could be bad, even if they said it was a joke.
Okay, well, I can see why your the viewership on YouTube isn't what it used to be, because this is just embarrassing, man.
And another
Like,
cheap
I don't
dig.
know.
It's so
I don't
funny
know-
what
I don't
happens
know-
to you
I
and
don't know
you
if
don't
you're-
even understand what the fuck you're saying.
I don't know.
I actually feel
Is this
sad
beca-
for
is
you,
this-
man.
Is this because of your wife? Because a lot of people, they seem to believe that the reason why you became a full-blown cuck is because of the wife
I feel so
situation.
bad for you that you think it's cucked to have a moral position that sexual harassment is unacceptable, and that little dumb fucks like you that come along and say, "Oh, but it was a joke, bruh," is actually not acceptable. It doesn't take away from the fact that it was still immoral and still doing a net harm.
Okay, and
You're
you know
exposing
what?
yourself as being
one
like
thing
an incel right now, man.
I'm not an incel, but you know what? The reason why people like Alex Stein do the things that he does is because of people like you. And if people like you didn't exist, then there'd be no incentive for him to do the things that he does. But people like you do exist. So as long as people like you exist, we're going to continue doing these things that are just.
So
like,
it's
you know,
okay
we're
to
just having
sexually
fun.
harass people because other
Well, she
people get
wasn't
upset
sexually
while
harassed, But
an
the
immoral
rea-
action was
the reason
taken?
why it was funny, Hunter, is because she wasn't actually sexually harassed. That's what made it funny.
That's the
If
point of this debate, is that
if
you
he actually
think
sexually
because
harassed her,
she smiled
wouldn't be
and
funny. If he was
possibly
actually a
tried to
threat to her,
diffuse
if
the
he was actually a
situation,
threat to her,
that somehow
be
means it wasn't sexual harassment. You're
actually a threat
justifying
to her,
sexual harassment
funny.
right now. You're pulling the
Like-
"she was asking for it" card. You're doing it right here live in
pulled it
4K.
yourself. Wait. You pulled it yourself. You pulled it yourself. Are you trying to win back favor with the chat after they openly revolted against you? You said that yourself.
There were a couple people that got mad at me. No one
I heard it was
overall
open
revolted against
revolt.
me, and I also
heard
never
it was
made
an
the
open
"she was
revolt.
asking for it" argument.
I saw your
explicitly
sub count
explained
drop
why
to
that wasn't
3,000.
the case.
I saw your sub count half once again.
Oh no, wow. Do you want to make any more cheap digs, or would you like me to read this really quickly before I hang up on your dipshit ass? So again, what is
Well,
street harassment?
saying-
Street harassment
No,
includes unwanted
okay.
comments,
All right, it was
gestures,
nice
or
talking to
acts.
Hunter.
Hey, really quick, before you hang up on me, since you're gonna run away and cope,
I'm not gonna run away.
I
What else do
actually,
you read?
so one of my favorite insults recently is subhuman, but I want to give you some credit. You don't even deserve a title that has human in it. In fact, I think you should be hauled off to a
Wow.
zoo
It's
where
so
they can
over.
look at you and try and figure out what the fuck kind of demented species
With the
you
trannies?
are. Because clearly you're
fucking
not
same
any
cage
kind of
trannies
human
in?
being. And if you are, then I would be, again, really,
trannies
really
fag?
sad for anybody that had to come in contact with you.
Hunter
I'm sorry
faggot.
that you
Hunter
were
faggot.
raised in a
Hunter
house with
faggot.
lead paint.
Hunter
I'm
faggot.
sorry that you were
Hunter
only
faggot.
conceived for tax
Hunter faggot.
purposes. I really do feel sorry for you. I will pray to the imaginary God to help you. Oh, there he goes. He hung up on me. Run away, bitch. Cuckold runs. He admitted that it was acceptable to sexually harass someone so long as they didn't show signs of not liking it. That doesn't take away from the fact that it's a moral wrong. Look at his chat. They're all celebrating. Yeah, he won undefeated. Okay. Yep. Exactly, man. Defending sexual harassment. So base, man. I'll go ahead and show this since he was too scared to hear the facts of the matter again. But let me go ahead and just close that out. So this is what's defined as street harassment, by the way. And this is exactly what Alex Stein did. Street harassment includes unwanted comments, gestures, or acts directed at someone in a public space without their consent. Comments, requests, and demands. Commenting on physical appearance, such as someone's body or the clothing they're wearing. Exactly what Alex Stein did. Continuing to talk to someone after they have asked to be left alone. Flashing, following, or stalking. Intentionally invading personal space. That wasn't what he was doing, but he definitely was doing comments, requests, and demands. Commenting on physical appearance. And he was, let's see what else we have here. Persistent requests for someone's name, number, or other information, public masturbation, sexist, racist, homophobic, transphobic slurs. I would say he was pretty much falling into that category, yeah. Staring, yeah. Using a mirror to look up someone's skirt. No, thankfully he didn't do anything that bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if Red Pill Gaming had to defend that one next. So he checks off several parts of this list here, showing that street harassment is not only something that is disgusting and grotesque, but it is something that Alex Stein did directly based on the definition. And mind you, this is why little dipshits like that guy don't want to actually talk about the definitions, because if they read through a definition, they realize that what Alex Stein did is definitionally sexual harassment. And then what happens with that means that you can no longer say, oh, but she smiled, she was asking for it, none of that matters anymore. What matters is what he did. His initial behavior fits the definition of street harassment, sexual harassment, and therefore it is sexual harassment, therefore it is immoral. It is that simple. That's why he ran like a little cunt as soon as I tried to bring up the definition. This is what sexual harassment is. That is what Alex Stein did. Sexually harassing anybody, whether you agree with their politics or not, is immoral because it causes harm not only to the individual, but to general society as well. Here's some good little bullet points as well. What are some of the effects of street harassment? It rarely happens just once. For those who experience street harassment, it is often not an isolated incident, but something that happens over and over again. The cumulative effect of these types of comments and behaviors can cause the person being harassed to feel a heightened sense of anxiety or to be on edge at all times. It hurts communities. People are less likely to engage with strangers and participate in their communities if they fear being harassed. What's funny here is that you'll have these alt-right inbred retards who consistently defend sexual harassment, but then they'll turn around and say a lack of trust in a general community is a result of diversity. They don't even realize that by defending sexual harassment, that lowers trust. That hurts general communities and the cohesion of a community, and yet when that happens, they'll then blame it on the brown people. It is so fucking funny. Can you explain where you would draw lines? Like, are those jokes ever acceptable? If so, when? I don't know if you could say it was just a joke by walking up to somebody and then saying, hey, big ass booty, you have a big booty, what a nice butt. Then, I mean, at that point, it's like, even if you are actually joking, it's irrelevant. So not only does it hurt communities, it's a human rights issue. It limits individuals' ability to be in public. Someone may avoid leaving their home, work, or school for fear of being harassed, limiting their access to opportunities and community. So again, it's similar to not getting vaccinated, which this guy also doesn't want to do because he's a Neanderthal. But again, if you actually care about the general well-being of society, which I do, then you would be against something like street harassment, sexual harassment, any kind of verbal harassment, really. It has financial effects. Many people who've experienced street harassment may feel unsafe walking home, going out after dark, or taking public transportation alone. Because of this fear, many people are forced to spend money on private transportation. Okay, and he also admitted that, like, if somebody was making, like, a harassing verbal comment directed at a child, and then said it was a joke, he would say, no, because that was pedophilia. And yet, if I say, what if it was your mom? No, because she's my mom. So he has no principles. He just arbitrarily decides when it's acceptable to sexually harass somebody based on whether or not he likes that person or not. That's it. AOC is a joke. You know, she absolutely can be a joke. You don't need to like AOC. I don't follow AOC. I'm not really familiar with her policies. I used to make fun of her all the time. But either way, you don't have to be a fan of AOC to recognize that this is a bad thing and it's immoral. And then I'm really disappointed that there were some losers in chat saying that I was defending rape or something. Listen, it's true that it's not like a bad thing to say, generally speaking, women should take account of their surroundings and not put themselves in situations where they may be more at risk of getting raped. That is something that is completely valid advice. It doesn't mean that if she does get raped, it's all her fault. It simply means that there are steps you can take to make sure that you are putting yourself in a position where this is less likely to happen. He was defending people harassing conservatives earlier. Didn't he say something about killing babies in the video? He was clearly was making the joke to mock her. he's doing something immoral, but at least she's hot. It wasn't a mere joke. Regardless, like, you have to be a redneck cuck in order to think that this is somehow okay. Hunter, if you say that a woman has to take care of herself, that is considered victim blaming. No, if it's all on the woman to stay safe, then that would be victim blaming. To say, hey, men, don't fucking rape. Hey, women, do your best to avoid situations where you're at a greater risk of experiencing rape. That is completely a valid piece of advice. Anybody that disagrees with me is either too sensitive or is just a woke scold on Twitter who are way too invested in getting a lot of lefty Twitter points. And then It's West, thank you for the $5. Why do these right-wing types keep talking about your wife so much? It's really uncomfortable. Because they think that is somehow like an own, or they think it's a diss, because again, they're insecure and they're sad because they don't have a wife, and they certainly don't have any woman that would ever be interested in them. And that's why people like Red Pill Gaming feel the need to defend catcalling, because without it, well, then how the fuck are they going to try and get a woman's attention, you know? At least if they're getting pepper sprayed by a woman, they're getting some attention from a woman. You know, that's probably his logic. But then again, maybe he doesn't have any logic whatsoever. I don't know. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.